Many years ago, as we began the church and church began to grow, and we saw the families were having hard time, and we knew that unless the families are strong and well founded in God, the church will not be successful. So with that in mind, we started to conduct these family seminars. Maybe it was in 2013 or something. One of the videos was uploaded online, and then it went around quite viral, because not many Nepali pastors would be teaching between wife and husband how we can build a very godly life, honestly, sincerely, openly. Talking about sex, and it's a kind of a taboo, so we don't want to pronounce that word itself. But I taught very openly to our church, and I saw the fruit. I saw how our church members' life was different. And then we used to do every year, but for the last 2 years we have not been able to do it in Nepal. And we started here hoping that we will continue to grow. Some people disagree with the motto here, happy marriage makes a happy life. Do you agree or disagree? Some people say, no, you cannot say happy marriage makes a happy life. You have to make your marriage happy. You cannot expect marriage to be happy and then your life will be happy. You have to make marriage happy, and then only your life will be happy. So whichever way we turn out, the fact of the matter is, if we failed to bring happiness in our marriage, we will fail in every other part of our life. That's a given factor. Great successful men, but because they failed in marriage, and then their life always went into different direction, one way or the other. So therefore, how long can we stay? 1 hour, 2 hours? With your permission only I will go, otherwise I can go on, and you will be hungry and terribly sitting. And Brother Solomon, you change, oh good, yeah, that chair. If you feel this chair is very hard and you want to use a soft one, please change. Anybody wants to change the chair, it's okay, otherwise. And if you feel it's too cold, you can reduce the AC also. Many of us have heard many times, Socrates' famous statement is attributed to him, by all means marry. If you get a good wife, you will be a happy man. If you get a bad one, you will become a philosopher, a poet. So those of you whose husband is a philosopher, you have done a good job. Dr. Jose, you're a philosopher. So Sister Salem, you need to rethink again. It's worth marrying a philosopher or not. Brother Boylan, are you a happy man or a philosopher? Romantic? Oh, I see. So then look at Paul. Paul is more blunt here. Now to the unmarried, those of you who are married, and the widow also, I say, it's good for them to stay unmarried. Why? Those who marry will face many troubles in life. The Bible is in the Bible, don't marry. So you went against the Bible. And you complain when you face problems. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1, 8 and 27 and 28 clearly says, don't marry. If you marry, you will have problem. And Paul goes on, I want to spare you from the problem. And we did not listen to Paul. And here we complain, my wife is not good, my husband is not good. You chose to disobey God's word. So you have no excuse now. You have to face your troubles. The humor beside, God planned marriage for a beautiful purpose, and the first thing, the design that God has, purpose that God had was, man was alone, and God said it is not good for man to be alone. And He imagined the concept of marriage so that man's loneliness would be solved. Human connection, human fellowship, human relationship. There is no other relationship that can take away the loneliness that we face in life like marriage, if you have a good marriage. If you make the right decision to marry a person, and then you work hard and you develop that marriage into a good marriage, that relationship is beautiful. Nothing and no one can ever replace that. So therefore, it is made for fellowship. Loneliness is such a terrible thing that you can be in the midst of people and still be lonely. Your parents, you may have good relationship with your parents, that will not satisfy that loneliness. You may have good relationship with your brothers and sisters, it will not satisfy. Only in the intimate relationship between husband and wife, where you can open your heart, you can open your mind and share and remove that sense of loneliness, remove that sense of alienation, and that's the beauty marriage brings in life. Otherwise, if you cannot do that, then you will be a lonely husband and a lonely wife. And when loneliness comes into marriage, it brings with it all kind of problems. So 1 Corinthians 11:11 also says, wife and husband need each other. That means husband is not independent from wife, wife is not independent from husband. We cannot function without one another. In order to be a truly man and a truly woman, we need wife and husband together in such a beautiful companionship that God had desired. Because marriage is God's plan, marriage is God's desire. So first of all, why do we need marriage in life? To remove the sense of alienation, loneliness and abandonment. No matter how terrible husband you have, how terrible wife you have, if you have a marriage, you can work it out. There is someone waiting for you at home. There is someone with whom you share your trouble or happiness. So, fellowship. Secondly, procreation. That is, God has created marriage so that we will continue the act of creation. Human life is dependent on marriage. Now Western societies are dying. In fact, the Eastern, Korea, Japan, China and Hong Kong and Singapore, after 30-40 years, there will be only old people and very few young people, because people are not marrying. They are not having children. These societies are dying. Europe is also going to die soon if they don't change, if they don't start having children. So God's blessing in Genesis 1:20, be fruitful, multiply and fill the earth, remains still beautiful. God did not make marriage to be broken, because in this act of creation, God wants beautiful children. That's what Malachi chapter 2 verse 13 to 16, if you read there, God says, I hate divorce, but I planned marriage. I want you to be faithful in your marriage so that you will have godly children. I want godly generation. Many times we have said in the church, if you want to make your children happy, then live such a life before them, authentic life, that they truly know that their father loves the mother and mother loves the father. There is love and respect in the family. Not only having children, but having godly children. But if in the marriage, if there is unfaithfulness and adultery and quarrel and fight, the children also become lost and confused. Then marriage is supposed to be for safety and protection also. Number 3, protection for the children. I don't have time to go through all these verses. It will take many hours. It is a 2 days program. So I'll just only give you a brief rundown explanation. When you have loving wife and husband, you are providing a safe environment for your children to grow. And Psalm 128 verse 3 and 4 beautifully says that your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house, and your children will be like olives around your table, beautifully growing and having a wonderful future for the children. Protection for your children. Then protection for your wife. Protect your wife. Wife needs a protection. Woman needs a protection. 1 Peter 3:7, he said, treat your wife as a weaker vessel with respect and honor. Protect her, in other words. Love your wife as Christ loves his church. Protect your wife, defend your wife. Oftentimes I used to ask these Nepali Christians that, suppose, like my wife talked about how her first encounter with my parents was, suppose you are a good son, you have very good father and mother, you had a wonderful relationship with your father and mother, then you marry, you bring your wife, and then your mother and your wife fight. Whose side will you take? You are a good son, you had good parents, now you have a wonderful wife also, but wife and mother fighting. Whose side are you going to take? If you take your mother's side, you will be a good son, but you will lose the ability and the possibility of being a good husband. And if you lose the chance of being a good husband, you might lose the chance of being a happy man also. So even in that time, you will have to play an important role, saying to your mother, Mother, I love you, I respect you, I'll do anything for you, but in this case, I cannot support you, I have to defend my wife. No matter how terrible, people may say you're a very bad son and you have really taken under your wife's control and all these things will come. But you will win your wife's confidence. And your wife will begin to believe and say, okay, even though I was wrong, even though I was not good, but still my husband protected me from his mother. That means I can trust this man. Later on, you don't have to even go and solve their marriage because your wife itself will go and respect your mother. But right from the beginning, if you show a demonstration that you cannot protect your wife, you will protect your mother, then wife loses that confidence. She cannot trust you to protect her. Then she becomes more angry, more wild and more defensive. She will hate more your mother and life will be miserable. So winning your wife's confidence in areas of protection, that's a human responsibility. Wife needs protection. More than anything, women need a protecting arm. No matter how strong your wife may be, but still she needs a husband's protection. It's a human nature. It's made by that. Generally, a girl will fall in love with the man who is confident. If a man is very weak and talks very girlish way and all the time not so sure what he says, that boy will have a hard time to find a woman. But if the boy may not be smart, boy may not be wealthy, but if his confidence is high, anything he does with confidence, girl will fall in love. Why? Because she believes, she will think that this man can protect me. So somehow that the need to be protected is there within woman's heart. That's why God made marriage in such a way. The husband also needs protection. God gave man so that he will not feel lonely. A woman who would be completing in him. Then in Titus chapter 2, 4 and 5, somebody read, you have Bible with you? The main point there is, the older women must teach the younger woman how to love their husband, how to create a very happy home. In other words, how to provide an environment in which a husband can be free and happy and self-control, in a sense. When a wife is loving and kind and compassionate and satisfying, that husband will not fall in sin easily. If a wife never pay attention to the husband's need, if wife all the time thinks, I don't need to protect my husband, I don't need to care for him, I don't need to meet his need, I don't need to listen to him, you are leaving him in a dangerous territory. If you don't take care of your husband's need, some other woman might take. Am I talking to you? Wife need to protect her husband. Because in a world in such a way that grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And there are certain kind of women who would like to create trouble for others also. Marvin Gorman, a famous American pastor, lost his ministry because one woman's wicked plan he could not overcome. And all of his life he regretted for one act of immorality. And that this woman kept on doing with other people. There are some women like that. So it's not that Marvin's wife had a problem or something like that. My point is, there are women who like to destroy some good marriage. Especially if you have a good marriage, there will always be someone who would like to come in between. At that time, it is wife's responsibility to protect the husband, not by going and attacking the woman who comes around to your husband, not by starting fight with your husband, by becoming aware and then by becoming more caring and loving and winning your husband. My wife and I, we used to watch a Korean television series called Cheaters. Korea, sexual immorality is very quite common, and when the wives always suspect their husband going with another. One woman found out that husband was having an affair in a motel room, so somehow with this television crew and they go and catch him. And the one scene we laughed and laughed. They caught the man red-handed with the underpants only. He runs around the house and the camera is running behind. What a tragedy. So many Korean women, they go and attack the woman that is trying to trap their husband. That's not the way to protect your husband. The way to protect your husband is to be a godly woman, loving, kind, creating an environment, home where a husband feels safe, satisfied, content and happy. Then marriage is supposed to be building our character, to learn how to overcome our own character flaws, our own weaknesses. How do we do that? As my wife already said, honesty, sincerity, willingness to lay down your life for your husband or your wife. No more games, no more extra, there is no B plan. Do you have a B plan in your marriage? When you marry a woman or man, there is no B plan. That's it. Whether we succeed or not, that's your plan. How do you do that? Start looking at your own character flaws, your own areas where you have to work out. Instead of trying to change my wife, I have to work out in changing myself. Instead of my wife changing me, she has to work out on her own. When that happens, that marriage will always come out victorious no matter what you face in life. So, marriage is to build godly character. Martin Luther, how many of you know who is Martin Luther? Famous Protestant reformer. He reformed the church from Roman Catholic. He was a Catholic monk. And when he when he left the monastery, he made about 10 or 12 nuns also to run away from the convent. And later, down the road, he married one of those nuns. And about some years later, his Catholic priest friend met him on the way and said, Luther, you were a sexually immoral man, you wanted to marry, and that's why you started Reformation. And to that monk, Martin Luther said, my brother, 1 year of marriage will make you a holy saint than a 10 years of celibate monk. I don't know whether you catch or not. 1 year of marriage refines your character more than the 10 years of monk's life in the monastery. Marriage will break you. Marriage will cut you across. And if you take it positively, you will become a good human being. But if you hate the process of making, then you will not grow. That is basically one session is gone in few minutes. Here is a picture that I want you to see. It's a whole new session, but I will just introduce you basic. Can you read this one? Signs of a marriage in danger. First picture is lack of intimacy. If you feel some kind of ice in your marriage, cold, no intimacy, no sense of affection, signs not good. Lack of intimacy. Marriage is to be intimate with one another. If you have lack of intimacy, there is some problem you have to work out. When you have no intimacy, when you have no affection for one another, when you have no deep sense of appreciation for one another, what happens? You start. Next sign. Constant criticism. Once in a while, getting angry is okay. But if you are all the time angry, if you are all the time criticizing your husband or wife, it's a sign you need to work on your marriage. It's not going to be good if you don't find solution to that problem. Criticism. Also add there sarcasm, sarcastic language. Criticize and then you speak in such a way you cut. You pierce that person's heart. Never to forget it. Constant criticism is not good. It will drive you crazy. And then once you start constantly criticizing, then what happens? No affection, only criticism. Then husband, if he is working in the office, he sees beautiful office assistant there, and he begins to wonder, if my wife could be like that. And the wife is working somewhere or going with someone, and some man says, hello sister, how are you? Yeah, if my husband could speak to me like that. One day such thought comes, second day such thought. Slowly and slowly and slowly, what happens? You start moving towards that person. Adultery doesn't take, infidelity doesn't suddenly come in the marriage. It starts slowly without even knowing. Then abuse. Another in marriage, your problem, abuse, physical abuse. If you beat your wife, these days husbands also are being beaten. In Nepal, we have a terrible time. Wife is beating the husband these days. Those days, it was the opposite. Now, human rights, women rights, and all these rights came, and anything, law is terrible in Nepal. There is the marital rape is so famous in Nepal. If the wife is not happy with the husband, she will say, he raped me. He goes to jail. So, abuse, whether verbal abuse or physical abuse, or emotional abuse, sexual abuse, so not only raping, sometimes when wife and husband do not give their body for one another, that's also an abuse. When you refuse your husband or wife sexual intimacy, you are abusing your responsibility. So any kind of abuse. Then financial situation will. Any marriage where there is no intimacy, any marriage where there is constant criticism, any marriage where there is sign of unfaithfulness, any marriage where there is abuse will go in financial difficulty. But if your marriage is good, if you are intimate with one another, if you love one another, you are faithful, you don't abuse, you serve one another, little money you have will begin to increase in miraculous ways. If you are facing all the time financial problems in life, chances are there you have somewhere lack of the wholeness in your marriage. I realize that if I keep money in my pocket, before month is over, my money is over and now I'm in trouble. So maybe after 2 or 3 months, right? No. I said, it's enough. I cannot handle. From that day onward, I don't even have a purse. Last time we went to hospital for someone to meet like Brother Boylan's neighbor. And there was no parking. I went to the parking lot and the guy said, you cannot park unless you pay, and I have no money in my pocket. He said, pay online. In my phone there is no app that gives you. Sometimes I get so mad with my wife because she took away all my money. Many times I go outside and I got lost and I have no money to come back home also. But the fact of the matter is, from the time my wife handled money, we never lacked any good things in life. So, okay, forget about those things. But then you need to understand human psychology also. Sometimes we just wish my husband was good, my wife was good. But then you have to also understand each human being is different. They have a different mind, different makeup. So I think we all know these things. You must have studied in your high school area or wherever, if you've done college, of course. Which one of you are? Who are you here in these 4 pictures? Choleric? All the time angry? Or sanguine, always happy, for no reason also laughing? Melancholy, all the time finding problems and sadness and miserable life? Or phlegmatic, lazy bum, never has any ambition in life? Which one are you? We all are like that. Only thing is, each one of us have all these 4 characters, some more, some less. And if you are all the time angry, life is finished. But you have all the time the phlegmatic, all the time lazy, no aim in life, that also cannot go on. If you are all the time laughing only and not serious, then no one is going to trust you. All the time melancholic, is not going to help that. So there are some good and bad side of this human psychology. You have to understand, when your husband is all the time angry for no apparent, a small thing also you don't do certain way and then he gets angry, that means there is some good side of it also. So choleric person who is always angry in appearance, he has strong will, he is very decisive, he is a leader, he has ambition in life. He wants to achieve something. But if it is all the time driven for that kind of a goal only, then he creates problem in the family. So we have to bring that balance. So because of that, he becomes very domineering, impatient, harsh, argumentative, all kind of things. Sanguine, very happy, fun-loving person. He is always enthusiastic, sociable, and every time he comes into the room and everyone is happy to see that person. But the negative side is very impulsive. He doesn't do things in order, disorganized, easily distracted, superficial. He can act like as if no problem, but inside he has a lot of problem. Melancholic, very thoughtful, analytical, loyal, artistic, perfectionist is also here in this place. Everything has to be neat and tidy. Perfectionist. The negative side, they become overthinking, become moody, pessimistic, very critical. They always see the problem. Glass is always half empty, right? When there is a half water-filled glass, when you look at the glass, the melancholic person will always see the empty side. So we need to understand who I am and then who my husband or wife is. Then we can bring all this, sit and discuss and talk. Okay, my wife, you have this temperament, I have this temperament. Maybe this is your strength, this is my strength. This is your weakness, this is my weakness. Then we can come together. Phlegmatic also, a very calm, peaceful, reliable, very easygoing person. But they are sometimes indecisive, unmotivated, they avoid conflict, they don't want to face any problems in life. They want to avoid problem all the time. Can you avoid problems and live? No, you have to face problems sometimes. You have to face challenges. So this is human psychology. This is who we are. So we need to study ourselves. See, I grew up in a very broken environment where there was no family, and my temperaments were all over the place. My personality was shattered. The first book that I started to read about human psychology was written by Tim LaHaye. It's a very famous book called Spirit Controlled Temperaments. How he explains these 4 types of human temperaments and how the Holy Spirit can help us to maximize the strong point and minimize the negative point. Spirit controlled temperament. And then after I started another. Psychology helped me a lot to know who I was. Otherwise I would not be here today. So you have to know your psychology. In your note, Mama, can you give me note? I need your help. I cannot change. In your note, after this temperament, what do you have? Men's and women's brain. Okay. Even though temperamentally we are like that, but then there is a fundamental difference between man's way of thinking and women's way of thinking. What did I write there? Man and woman's brain. Whose brain is this? Women are multitaskers. They can do many things at a time. I get angry with my wife sometimes because for some months ago, my son said, Papa, just download some game for mother. No? She must be feeling lonely or something like that. So I downloaded some mobile game. She'll be talking to me and playing the game at the same time. How could you do that? No, perfectly. But I said, no, you are not paying attention. No, I'm paying attention to you. Women can do many things at a time. But the problem is, if they have problem in one place, then they have problem everywhere. One place. Then you will have miserable time for all over the places also. Because it's connected from one end to another, and it's connected. That's the way women, God made women's brain like that. It's not their fault. They have to do, they have to take care of the baby, they have to feed the baby, they have to cook in the kitchen, they have to clean the house, they have to cook the food. There are so many things they have to do at a time. But man cannot do that. Man is single tasked. One of the area where we fight is that wife will be saying something and I'll say, and then after that when I go, did you do that? What? I can only read, or I can only play, or I can only do something, but I cannot play, read, and at the same time listen what my wife says. Human being's brain is therefore like pomegranate. It has different areas where it can only function one task at a time. How about you, Sister Lucy? Brother Solomon? We have to understand each other's way of thinking. Then suppose if I make my wife upset in the morning, the whole day is going to be upset. But husband will be okay. You can make husband upset at one time, and later if you go back and reconcile, it will be okay. But wife, once you make her, it's going to affect how long, we don't know, depending on how long the battery lasts us. So human beings have different, men and women, they have a different way of looking at life, and we need to understand that. Then in your note, there are differences between man and women's need, emotional and physical need in their hierarchical order. In your note, I didn't put in the screen here. Man's emotional and physical need, usually if you ask what is your biggest need in marriage, he will say sexual fulfillment. Then after that comes entertainment or friendship. After that he will think about beauty, attraction and all these things. And then peaceful home environment, all these things. When you ask woman, she will say, I need love, I need affection, I need someone who talks to me, who spends time with me, honesty, openness, the financial security, home and family. And most importantly, the number C is where we have to focus in improving our marriage life. In time of stress, in time of difficulty, generally, man would like to sleep with his wife. And then only he will go to sleep, and food he will look for it. But women, first food and then sleep, and the last. This is human psychology, human need, human physiology. Whenever your husband is in a serious problem, whenever your husband is going through serious difficulties in life, he would like his wife to make him sexually happy. But when wife is going through hard time, she would like to have some food, some husband care for her, to provide her. Hierarchical means the first, second, third. Which one man would prefer, which one woman would prefer. Then number 2, cycle of love and respect, which my wife touched here. Cycle of love and respect. Note here, everything in marriage circles around love and respect. And here, look at in the screen now. The crazy cycle. Love and respect is called the crazy cycle. What happens? If husband speaks without love, wife will speak without respect. And when wife speaks without respect, husband will speak without. It will go on and on and on until you lose your mind or lose your marriage. Which cycle are you in? The energizing cycle is different again. When husband speaks with love, it will motivate his wife to respect him. When wife speaks to husband with love, it will motivate her husband to love her. Do you see the difference? Can you see it? No. Am I speaking to myself? It's a reality. You know in your house, I don't know, this screen doesn't have to speak to us, right? The more you speak without love, the more she is going to speak to you with disrespect. The more she speaks with disrespect, the more he is going to speak to you without love. But the opposite of that, if you have a loving husband, he speaks to you in a loving voice, then it motivates her to respect her husband. When you start respecting your husband, it motivates him to love you more. Choice is ours. Which one do you prefer? Which cycle? Crazy cycle or the energizing cycle? The King and the Queen, I think, is the name of the movie. Right? Long ago, there was a famous Hollywood movie made about a king of Thailand. It's a fictional character, but the King and the Queen. An English lady came to Thailand to teach English to the children in palace. So the king hired this English lady to teach English to his children. The king had queen plus many other concubines, and he had many children. And while this English lady was teaching English to his children, he fell in love with her. And they both fell in love, and they get married. And there is one line in that movie that captures the whole story, is that the king says to this new queen now, the English woman, who knew how to love a man, how to respect a man, he said, I never knew that man can be so happy with one woman. He had many wives. He had many children. But this English woman knew the art of marriage, and the heathen king, brute king, I never knew that a man can be so happy with one woman. The energizing circle. You know, if you have a loving wife, your husband, if you're a loving wife, your husband can do great things in life. Man will do anything once he really loves the woman. But many wives, they don't realize this factor. They only say, my husband is not good, my husband. Then they start criticizing, they start complaining, they start harassing, and life goes in the crazy cycle. But on the other hand, if you can reverse that cycle and come to the energizing cycle, and when husband begins to respect his wife and loves his wife, protects his wife, and he becomes everything for her, she becomes everything for him, that marriage will be beautiful. Wife will be so happy. Husband will be full of ambition. You know, the book of Proverbs, if a man is happy with his wife, he goes into the town with the head held high. Because a loving wife, if a wife at home loves the man, somehow he becomes so confident, he doesn't care what the world thinks about him. But outside he may be a very powerful man, respected, highly respected, rich and famous man. When he comes home and, oh, you useless fellow, you come home like that and out. If wife doesn't respect, oh, the outside respect means nothing for that man. So when a man loves a woman, is another movie. Have you watched that? We are too far away from English movies. So I fell in love in English language long ago. And I told you many times, I think story, the reason I married my wife was I wanted to learn English. Of course, when I saw my wife, English was not my worry at that time. Just was worried how to get her. She did not tell you the whole story, but I'm so glad I found a woman who not only taught me English, but also helped me to be good at many other things. But that would not have been possible if we did not know how to work out our marriage. We have never gone to anybody for our problems in life. I don't know if my wife speaks to you about me or not in your private conversation. Yeah, my husband is like this, my husband. Have you ever gone? But oftentimes there are temptations that when you have problem with your wife or husband, we go to our friends and we say, my husband is like this, my wife is like that. Once you start doing that, what happens? You are spilling your beans everywhere. And instead of working at your marriage, you are creating more trouble. So, which cycle? Criticizing cycle, harsh, rude, and not respecting, demotivating all the time. I may be preaching very hopeless message. If my wife says, you did very well, I feel very good. I may have been preaching very wonderful sermon. If my wife, what did you do today? Finished everything. That much power you have between husband and wife. So, energizing, motivating, inspiring. How? Love and respect. That's what the Bible says. Love your wife, honor your husband. And when you do that, you're going to jump out of this crazy cycle. How do you jump out of the crazy cycle? In spite of what is happening, regardless of what my wife says, regardless of what my husband says, I'm going to do good. I'm going to love him. I'm going to respect him. I'm going to work out. I'm going to make my marriage work. So this cycle then becomes a rewarding cycle. You get what you wanted. So the biblical principle, give and it shall be given to you. It's not just money. Jesus didn't just simply say money in Luke chapter 6:30. Give and it shall be given to you. Regardless of the need, you have to give first. Money also, it's very important. The day a person becomes stingy and greedy, the poverty begins there. But the day you open your hand and you become generous, you see a needy person, you somehow felt the need to help, you started to help, and you will be surprised how finances will come in your way. How God will reward you in many different ways. Same principle applies to every area of your life. Give and it shall be given to you. In your marriage also, when a wife gives love and respect to her husband, she is going to get it back. Pride is sometimes such a dangerous thing that when we have made certain mistakes in life, instead of humbling ourselves, we become very defensive. And we refuse to admit. And because of that, we cannot get off this crazy cycle. So in order to get out of this crazy cycle, get into the motivating and rewarding cycle, we have to humble ourselves and say, yes, I have made a mistake. Ask forgiveness from your wife and from your husband, and then you will see how God begins to. Can you give me a few more minutes? Then let me go to the last section. In sexual fulfillment in marriage, this is the key again. How much we have said here, all these wonderful things are good, but the crux of the matter, the heart of the matter is, in marriage, if you are sexually not satisfied, your marriage is not going to work out well. So here, traditional belief or faulty beliefs about sex in life is that man has more sexual drive than women. That's a traditional way of, it's an unscientific way of doing. I say, if there is proper understanding, man and woman both demonstrate an equal desire for sexual intimacy. Then in our traditional cultural mindset, sex is something sinful. The word sex itself we don't want to pronounce. We think that that is very dirty, filthy. And only immoral people, low character loose people only use this kind of language. That is our traditional way. We never openly discuss about this. Never even use the word. However, sex is God's greatest gift to mankind. We have to be honest, especially if you want to have a healthy and happy marriage. You have to be able to talk about it between your wife and husband. And if you cannot do it, you have to read books or study or join seminar or do whatever it takes to find happiness in sexual relationship here. If the following 5 things are in place, wife and husband can experience highest level of sexual intimacy in their marriage. Have you read Song of Solomon? Not Brother Solomon's song. Have you read the book of Song of Songs also? In NIV it's called Song of Songs, but Old and Bad Song of Solomon. How many of you have read that book? Only Sister Lucy. Okay, both of them have read. They are very loving couple, I think. If you have not, generally what I do in my marriage seminar, I make the couple, one becomes Sunamite, another becomes Solomon. So they read the whole book right from the beginning of our seminar. That book portrays the beauty of a loving relationship between a husband and wife. Some Christians, they allegorize and make it between God and man or Israel and God and all these things, but that is simply a book, a poetry describing the beauty of a sexual intimate relationship between husband and wife. And when you are sexually satisfied, when you are sexually meeting each other's need, how wonderful human being you can become. Song of Solomon. Please go and read today in cookie language, Song of Solomon at home, and then you will think. So my point was, we all have these desire, but we don't talk about it. We don't know how to satisfy, and as a result, our marriage continues to suffer. Let us see, women needs romance. When you want to enjoy a sexual relationship with your wife, then you need to know how to romantically win her heart. If you demand sex, that's not going to work out. But you need to win her heart. Listen to, let me read few verses here. Otherwise you will not catch the heart of the matter in this important section. Chapter 1 verse 2. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is more delightful than wine. Pleasing is the fragrance of your perfumes. Your name is like perfume poured out. No wonder young women love you. No wonder many women are after you. Can you say about your husband like that? Here, Sunamite is explaining how romantic he is and how attracted she is towards him. And she goes and says, no wonder why many women would like to marry you. Many times in our traditional marriages, husband and wife, sexual relations is only once in a while when they are in bed only. But you need to have this romantic connection with your spouse. So here, even in arranged marriage, love and romance can be developed. Premarital lust can also be turned into love and romance. So many of us here, most of us, we didn't marry, we just ran away, right? So we didn't have this society telling us you are married, but you decided to you marry. Even then also, you fell in love with each other, didn't you? Brother George, did you fall in love or somebody forced you to run away?
Nobody forced us.
Nobody forced. You chose. So that means you had very romantic, attractive relationships before you ran away, right? Yes or no? However, so Prem is not here, so I'll spare you. If you don't develop this affectionate, romantic relationship long after you are married, chances are there your sexual life is not healthy and you're not happy. And most of the time, quarrel comes in the family because you're not satisfying each other's physical need. That's the fact of the matter. Because we here, let me show you the slide here. The Greek Bible talks about 4 types of love: eros, storge, phileo, agape. Eros has to do with romantic love, love between wife and husband. Storge is a parental love, and phileo is a friendship and brothers love. Agape is divine, godly love. And all these, here I said, number 5, without agape, phileo and storge, eros alone is not meaningful. And marriage without eros is also meaningless. Without all the combination of these aspects of love, your marriage will not be fulfilling. And human needs, man's and women, their needs are so different here. See, the blue side, man, the red or the purple side, women. Women's need affection to develop. Whereas men, he likes to have sexual fulfillment. Women's need, she wants to have intimate conversation. She wants to be able to talk to you completely, honestly, sincerely. Man's need, he wants entertainment, recreational companionship, friendship. Women's need honesty and openness. Man, he likes physical attractiveness. You see, that's why many women in the villages, they marry, after marriage they have children, and then they don't take care of their body, they don't wash their hair, and their hair is so sticky and stinking and smelling. And then husband goes out somewhere and there one beautiful lady is going, her hairs are flying, and he passes by and the perfume comes and he turns like that, his head, and wife looks at him and she picks up the stone. That's not the solution. Man's attraction, he is visual. He wants to see his wife neat and clean. And there is a saying, I think Oprah Winfrey used to say, there is no ugly woman in the world, but some women are very lazy. Regardless how we look, if we put ourselves neat and tidy and clean, man will always be happy with you. But sometimes women don't pay attention to that also. Then woman wants to be secure financially also, and husband wants wife to take care of the home. He has domestic needs. He wants his wife to be able to take care of her children and all. Family commitment, wife is attached to her mother's side also, but husband wants to be respected and honored. These are different types of need. If you can understand what your husband is needing, what your wife is needing, and then you have a desire to fulfill that need, your marriage will always be solid. Otherwise, what happens? Too much familiarity sometimes breeds contempt, we say, and we become so accustomed to have problems at home. We become so used to having problem and argument, and we become so used to having not understanding one another. We don't even realize that our marriage is falling apart. Suddenly husband is gone, then we realize it is too late. Suddenly wife is gone, then we realize it is too late. We have to assess ourselves time and again. So here my main point was, there are 4 types of love that Bible talks about, and marriage needs to have all these 4. Without agape, without phileo, without storge also marriage cannot last, but without eros, marriage is, sexless marriage is very sad marriage. There are many marriages where wife sleeps in different room, husband sleeps in different room. That's not going to last for a long time. That's not going to be a healthy marriage. Husband is not going to be happy, wife is not going to be happy, children are not going to be happy. And they are not going to be successful in life. So, if you can win your wife's heart, men, you will always be satisfied with your wife. She will be happy to satisfy your needs. Without love and romance, no wife can make her husband sexually happy. That's a written guarantee there. Number 2, women needs nurture. The here, say affection, tender. Women need tender care, nurture, affections, kind words. My wife's, one of the complaints in life is that your tone is not good. That's my weakness. Whenever I'm angry or agitated or something, even though I didn't mean it, but sound like very rude. You need to appreciate, nurture each other. Just like women needs kind word, man also needs kind word. Appreciate, main point is, words can create that tenderness. Let's read, touch also in the same chapter, verse 2. His left arm is under my head and his right arm embraces me. The touch. The problem is the moment husband touches, wife gets angry these days, right? When you are at home, children are sleeping, and a husband comes nearby and a wife hits him with the elbow and his rib is broken. Forget about left hand and right hand. Marriage needs physical touch. If your marriage has no physical touch, somewhere you have forgotten to nurture your sexual intimate relationship. Words also, go to chapter 7, verse 1 to 7, let us read how he explains. This applies for men and women both. How beautiful your sandaled feet, O princess daughter, your graceful legs are like jewels, the work of an artist's hand. How words can make you blush like that. Your navel is round about goblet that never lacks blended wine. Your waist is a mound of it. He is describing in words his wife. The physical aspect of sexual intimate relationship here. So, if you cannot speak romantic words to one another, you cannot enjoy deep sexually intimate relationship. In verse 3, your breasts are like 2 fawns, like twin fawns of a gazelle. Your neck is like an ivory tower. Your eyes are the pool of a Heshbon, and by the gate of Beth Havin. Your nose is like a tower. I mean, have you ever looked at your wife and said like that? Our culture is forbidden, right? What are you? You're a loose man. You are a very dirty man, because that's what we thought we were taught. And because of that, we can never have a happy sexual satisfaction in life. When you are not sexually satisfied as wife and husband, there will always be areas where you will face problems. So for women needs that kind of appreciation, kind words, tender touch. In Hindu culture, once you marry, your wife has to massage your legs. How about cookie culture? No? Oh, you're lucky then. Yeah, wife has to massage you. How about husband massaging wife's leg? Have you done? Oh, all the time. Okay, you're lucky. Marriage is supposed to be so lovable, rejoicing, something that is, how much you try to enjoy, you want to enjoy more. The older you get, the more deeper you fall in love. Or yes or no? Am I the only one? Number 3, women need time to enjoy sexual intimacy. So men are so immediately, the moment they need, they want. But women, they need time. They need safe place also. Let us go quickly. They need safe environment, safe place where they can be free without any outside interference. This is here again our Asian problem. We sleep with our children and then we wonder why my husband is always angry with me. Whenever husband wants to sleep, then we go and wake up the children. Unless you take these matters seriously, your marriage will not be so satisfying. So women need privacy, safe place, secure place. But I think I outlined here some of our big family, many children, poverty. Sometimes we have no many rooms, we sleep in one room. And these things are big challenges for enjoying sexual intimacy. Yet we have to find out solution to that problems. If you really want to be a happy man and a happy woman, you have to work at it. Maybe you have to go on a vacation. Why do you think many Westerners, they go for vacation? We need to take a break from our daily mundane life to find out some kind of romantic connection with husband and wife. There is one warning here. It's called imprint. Have you heard that when your duck is hatching the chicks, ducklings, if you happen to be the one to bring that duckling out of the eggs, then the duck thinks you are the mother. And they will follow you no matter wherever you go. Even if the dog was there, when they came out of the egg, they will think the dog was the mother. Whichever creature is in front of the ducklings, when they come out of the egg shell, they will think that is my father or mother. They follow. In human interpersonal relationship between husband and wife, sex before marriage, here sex with anybody else other than whom you marry. Any sexual encounter other than with your husband and wife before you met has that similar kind of imprinting effect. In other words, sex before marriage with anybody other than your wife, for a man, this was a sex without loving relationship, and therefore it is lust. And then what happens? Such a person, even after marriage, fails to understand the loving aspect of sexual intercourse. He is only motivated with lust. And he doesn't know how to create this romantic relationship with his wife. Because in his mind, once upon a time he was having affairs with some ladies, and because of that his brain is now imprinted that women are just object to satisfy my lust. And he treats his wife also like that only after marriage. So that person has to work it out. For